What is up, guys? So we have had more news to do with the Percy Jackson and Disney Plus adaptation, including a new logo. Not fully the official one, but it's enough to get us hyped. And so I am putting it out into the universe again. Rick Riordan, if you ever see this, or even Becky Riordan, this is why you should hire me as one of the screenwriters for Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Okay, now I know I've done one of these videos before, but I have more to say, and the lighting has suddenly changed within my room. Anyway, let's just get into the main thing here. So, I am a published author. I have also been shortlisted for a playwriting award and many other accolades to my name, which gives me some experience in writing. But yes, I haven't worked on a television show, but there are many things that I think Percy Jackson and the Olympians can bring forward which are important. And when I've done a video about this before, there are 3 things in particular that I want to talk about in this video that should be focused on in the series. First up, the relationship between Percy and Luke. Now, this is the thing that I've always felt the books have lacked, and you guys will know my feelings on this if you listen to my podcast, The Best Damn Camp, where I talk a lot about how I feel the dynamic between Luke and Percy was not developed enough to kind of build up to what happens in The Last Olympian, but also just kind of throughout the series as a whole. Luke is Percy's foil. But other than the first and last book, there isn't any real interaction between them that firstly gives us an insight to Luke's reasoning for what he's doing, but also to show that, in a sense, Percy does understand what he is going through and what he is doing, even though he doesn't agree with it, which is something that pops up intermittently throughout the series, but is never really explored enough for us to firstly understand and accept Luke's redemption at the end, but also for Percy to go forward with what Luke wanted. And while I think building up that relationship, particularly in the first season as well, but throughout, because Luke, even though he's meant to be the main villain, and don't come at me with Kronos is the main villain, no, Luke is meant to be, and he should have been the main villain for Percy. Kronos is our Ozai. He is the big bad that we need to defeat. Luke is the Zuko of the situation, just not as good of a redemption arc. Zuko needs to be, not Zuko, Luke needs to be a Zuko. We need to understand where he's coming from. But the fact is that we don't ever get that, which is why his redemption has often not felt earned by fans, but also why Percy can't identify or kind of see any reason to believe in or believe Luke or understand where he's coming from, which makes the ending where Percy comes forward basically with what Luke wanted, which is for the gods to, speak up and accept their children. That's what Luke wanted, but Percy never really thought on that much throughout the series. Build up that relationship, show that Luke does have a point, and that will feel more realistic based on what Percy has experienced with Luke. And that moves on to the second thing that I want to look at, and what I think needs to be looked at in the series, and that is the demigods as a collective. Other than our main trio, Luke and a few others here and there, the demigods themselves don't really have much of a character. Not many of them actually, even when we get to know them, such as Selena and Beckendorf, they don't really get much characterization themselves, which is why, for example, Selena's redemption, I don't really know what it is, redemption maybe, her reveal as being the spy, stuff like that, most people seem to not be able to forgive her because, well, I'm not really too surprised, we don't really know anything about her. But if that's built up a little bit more, if it's built in this resentment that the demigods have towards their godly parents, and maybe even towards their mortal parents as well, considering that Kronos' side don't like mortals either, it seems, it makes sense, because there are so many kids who are year-rounders at the camp, which means, firstly, in some cases, it's that the monsters terrorise them at home. But in Annabeth's case, for example, her family don't really want her. because of the monsters. They want her gone to protect their mortal, normal family. It's kind of easy to assume that that's the case for a lot of the demigods. So you can build up the godly resentment because they've been abandoned by their godly parents. Build up the mortal resentment because they've been abandoned or resented themselves by their mortal parent. Build into it more so we can understand why some demigods chose to side with Kronos and some didn't. Building onto these two sides, we're going to understand the conflict so much more as the series progresses and kind of see both sides, which I think is incredibly important, both for Percy but also for us as an audience. Now, to go into the third and final one, this one admittedly isn't the most important, but to me I feel it's something that is important for Percy's development and character. Percy is the only person in the series who has a stable home environment with Sally and later also with Paul. Now, if you guys have seen my collaborative episode with Middle Fantasy with the host Zach, I talked a little bit about this on that. I think Sally is a big reason, and also on the Seaweed Brain podcast also, sorry, shout out to those guys as well. Sally, I think, is a huge reason why Percy isn't as resentful of the gods, because he still has a stable home family life. Yeah, the whole thing with Gabe was ridiculous, and I'll do a third part because I think Gabe can be cut out completely. But Sally is the reason, in my opinion, that Percy is so incredibly loyal. Sally herself is the embodiment of loyalty. She's stuck with Gabe out of loyalty and devotion to her son. She kind of stood by Poseidon, even though he does abandon her and doesn't speak down on him or speak poorly of him, probably due to a loyalty in the fact that he is Percy's father. There is some sort of loyalty and care there, even if there is no romantic love there anymore. Something about Sally, I think, embedded itself into Percy to help him become loyal. And yes, it is his fatal flaw, but I also think in a sense it's also Sally's fatal flaw. And that dynamic between them, firstly, needs to be there completely for the first book, because she's the entire reason why the first book happens. Like, he wouldn't have gone if Sally wasn't taken, you know, all that sort of stuff. But her importance throughout the series, firstly, I think needs to be built up a little bit more. But she is the one good and consistent thing that Percy has throughout the series that no other character has. And also shows the two sides of the coin to Percy and Luke. Luke had no stable family life. Throughout the whole of his life, he had none of that. But Percy has, even though he had the crummy Gabe situation, Sally has always been there for him. She has always kept him good and had led him onto a path and protected him and cared for him. Luke didn't have that. And we could see the path that he took because of all the things that are complete opposite, really, to Percy's life. Two different causations lead to two different paths. I think building up that relationship with Sally in the series is going to show that dynamic to help the relationship and our understanding of Luke and Percy's dynamic, but also show the lives of the demigods. So in a sense, this third part ties into the other two, and as a whole completes how this series will teach us the importance of caring for kids. And so those are just three of the things that I think are important. So the Sally and Percy relationship, the Luke and Percy dynamic, and the demigods as a collective. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's something else that should be included in the series? And also, what did you think of my ideas? And do you think I should be hired for the Disney Plus TV series? If so, share this video, like this video, comment on this video, let people see this and share it with the world. So Rick, if you're ever watching this, I'm happy to send along my CV, my guy. Gosh. Okay, so let's just end this. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I truly do appreciate it. In the description box down below, you'll find the links to all of my social media, my merchandise store, and my Patreon, where if you can support me, that is the place to do so. But if you can't support me financially, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, drop a like and a comment, and all that good stuff. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Skadoosh.